Hello YouTube, this is Chendu. I'm gonna explain you about the topics in Code Java. Now I want to teach these topics in our lectures. Now first I'm going to discuss about language fundamentals. After that I'm going to take about some OOPS concepts and then inner classes. After discussing about the inner classes, I'll discuss about packages and strings, exception handling, multi-threading, and input output streams. These are the main topics which we are going to discuss in our whole lectures. Okay, let's get into the fundamentals first. In language fundamentals, we are going to discuss these four topics. They are character set, tokens, tokens, and identifiers, and also data types. Now, talking about character set. Let's talk about character set. Now, first of all, what is a character set? Character set is a it's a collection of characters which we used in Java program. Now, according to Java program, Java language or Java technology, Java uses Unicode, Unicode character set. Now, as soon as I say Unicode, one doubt rises in our minds. What is a Unicode? Now, Unicode is a collection of characters. Unicode is a collection of characters whose range is 0 to 65,535. It means we have a total of 65,536 characters. Now in this we can use even any language characters, but provided a Unicode UTF-8 must be installed in your PC. Font, which must be installed in your PC, which should support all the languages here. And one more thing I want to say here is we have ASCII values. ASCII values. This is a I think you have heard in C language, that is 0 to 256 255 characters that used in C language. Now, but here we also use these 0 to 255 characters along with the more 256 to 65,535 more characters, so that we can say that ASCII is a subset of Unicode character set. Let us call it as in short form char set. Okay, now as Java supports all the language characters, We can write our Java program in many languages or any languages whose characters are in between 0 to 65,535. So it is called as a universal language. Java is a universal language. Why? Because it supports different languages. Okay, this is about character set. Now, before going to tokens, I want to clear one thing. Why we are learning character set, tokens, identifiers, and data types, and so on. This is because we have we have a flow chart. Now, this is if we learn characters, char set or character set by grouping some characters, we can build tokens, and by grouping some tokens or any token, any number of tokens, we can write an instruction, which is an instruction, and after that, by grouping or by collecting some instructions, we can develop a program. We can develop a program, and a collection of programs is said to be a software. So the now hierarchy is in this manner, from character set to software. First, in this we can say that software is a collection of programs, and programs is a collection of instructions, and instructions is a collection of tokens, and token is a collection of character set. This is why we need to learn language fundamentals, because we use all this in our future classes. Now, next one is tokens. Now, what these tokens are actually? Now, tokens. Tokens means these are the smallest individual. Tokens are the smallest individual units. Smallest individual unit within a program. Like we have, as I said, the group of characters is said to be a token. Why tokens? Tokens are because these are just literals. It is also known as literals, or we can say it as a word. Because if we want to write instructions, we have to write in some words. Because Java is an highly level language, so for that we need to have tokens, a group of tokens which is called as an instruction. Now these are divided into subtypes. What are there? What are they? Now tokens are divided as first reserved words. We will talk about this in a moment. And identifiers. Next, constants, data types, and operators. Now we'll see one by one, but before this I want to say one thing, that we are not going to discuss operators directly, because we will get all most of the operators in between the programs. I will explain each and everything there. So I'm not discussing these operators. So now first going to reserved words. Now first, what are reserved words? What are reserved words? Reserved words are the words which are predefined. Now these are predefined words, and each word has its specific function. Okay, these are predefined words and which are having predefined functions. Now, why these reserved words are to be there? This is because we have to execute our program in one software or one platform, and before that we have to compile our code, and it should be converted into a bytecode, so that for understanding our program by the compiler we use these reserved words. This is each reserved word is understood by compiler. Okay, now what are these reserved words? Let's see what are these reserved words. Open. Now these are the hierarchy of reserved words, in which we have, now reserved words is divided into two types. They are keywords and reserved literals, and keywords are further divided into two types: used keywords and unused keywords. And when I come to reserved literals, there are only three, which are here literals. I have told you that tokens are also known as literals. So here these reserved literals are three, which are true, false, and null. This, and one more thing here I want to clear is these true and false are very much different from a C language, because C language, if true, if more than greater than 0 is true, and 0 and lesser than 0 is false. But here we don't have any values like that. And null, here one new word null came into picture, which doesn't store any value. It itself is a value, and these three are values. Now these three are values. Okay, now unused. Coming to unused, why unused keywords? Because whatever the program we write, we have a, whatever the software we develop in projects, we have a lot of collection of programs. Some projects might have around thousands of classes here, classes or programs. With that many programs might decrease the efficiency. Okay, it is to some extent, but here if I use goto and constant statements, its efficiency is further decreased. To avoid that, it is internally, these two keywords are internally used by the compiler as well as JVM. And coming to used keywords. Now what are used keywords? Here I have to write, okay, now used keywords. Coming to used keywords. Used keywords are 48. They are I categorize them as follows. This is to just remember them easily. Now first of all, data types. For data types, how many literals are there, sorry, how many keywords are there for data types? There are 9 keywords. 9 keywords are there for data types. They are byte, short, int, long, float, after float, double, boolean, char, and our last one, void. These are the 9 keywords. Now what are there? Byte, short, int, long, float, double, boolean, character, void. Now what are these? These 4, byte, short, int, long, represent integer values, and float, double represent real numbers. These are numbers which have a decimal point, and boolean, as I discussed just now, true and false. Here, these two are used by boolean. And character, this char data type uses those Unicode characters which are 0 to 65,535 characters. And void, these are used for methods. In Java we call functions as methods because they are bind with the class or object name, so we call them as a method, and they are specific to some classes only. Some methods may be used for all the classes, but some most of the times we use specific methods for different classes. Now here, if a return type is not there, if we do not want to return any type from that method, we use void keyword. Now second is modifiers, and here again these are divided into two types, like access modifiers and non-access modifiers. Okay, we will discuss about them later in packages, in package concept. Now what are these keywords? They are public, private, protected, comma, static, final, native, synchronized, volatile, strict FP, strict FP. Next, abstract, comma, transient, SIENG, and transient. Now these are the 11 modifiers, in which these 3 are called access modifiers and these all are called non-access modifiers. Now we will discuss about these things later in detail. Now third one is control statements. Control statements, I think you know about this before, as in C language. Okay, now first reserved word is if, next else, switch, case, default, break, continue, return, for, while, and last, do. Now these 11 keywords or 11 reserved words are used for control statements. As you know, if, else, switch, case, default, break, continue. This continue is new. Actually this is a keyword. which is also there in C language, but there is a different meaning here. Return, return, for, while, and do, all these things. Now, fourth one, fourth one for classes. Now, for classes, what do we use? As I said, in the structure of Java program, we have a keyword called class, and then interface, next enum. These are the three predefined keywords which are used for which are used for classes. A class defining a class. Next, fifth one. Fifth one is for exception handling. Exception, exception handling. Exception handling. For exception handling, we have a try, catch, comma, throw, throws, finally, assert. These are the keywords. These are the 6 keywords which are used for exception handling. Now, coming to sixth one, these are for operators. These keywords are used for operators. They are new, which is the most frequently used word in our Java programs, used for creating objects, because Java is an object-oriented programming language. We use different types of objects, not different types of objects. We use different objects for many classes. Okay, now, and second one is instance of. This is used for providing access. Like if for example, if I have a library and I have one admin and some students or some customers for the library, and if I want to provide access to admin, then I will create an admin class, and if the object which I created is an instance of that admin class, then I will provide then I can provide access to admin. Or else, if I have some student class, how can I know that a student is admin or not? This is using instance of keyword. Next, seventh one, these are for references. These are used for references. These are only 2 keywords, this and super. Then coming to eighth one, these are for packages. These are for packages. As I already told, there is a keyword for package declaration, and also keyword for importing packages. Only these two are for there for packages. Now coming to ninth one, and which is the last one, these are for inheritance, which is the most important concept in Java or any OOPS language, like object oriented languages. Inheritance is the most important logic or most important concept, and this inheritance can be introduced using 2 keywords. They are extends as well as implements. Now these are the keywords. There are totally 48 keywords, 48 used keywords. They are categorized into 9 different types, which are data types, modifiers, control statements, classes, exception handling, operators, references, packages, and inheritance. In this, inheritance is the most important concept, so try to concentrate more on the topic. I will discuss it in OOPS concept, like object oriented principles, which is a relation. Now here inheritance is a relationship. Now next topic. Now going to next topic. They are identifiers. Now they are identifiers. Now first of all, what is an identifier? Here identifier is a user defined keyword, user defined word, not keyword. It is a user defined word, and its meaning. Now as I told, reserved words, each word has its own function to do, or each word has its own meaning. Now coming to identifiers, these are user defined words, so we don't have any specific meaning, so that its meaning is not reserved by compiler. The main difference between the reserved words and identifier is the meaning of reserved word is reserved by the compiler, which is specific, and we cannot use those reserved words for declaring our identifiers. And here identifiers meaning is not reserved by the compiler. They are just taken as some variables or some constant names and etc. Now why identifiers? Now why identifiers? This is because why identifiers is because it is used to identify, which is used to identify elements, Java elements, which are which are defined by the user. Because for example, if we have int x equal to 10, now we have int x equal to 10. Now here x is an identifier which is used to represent a value of 10, which is an integer value. Now like if now for what identifiers are used, or where identifiers are used? Identifier used to for declaring the class names, variable names, functions or method names. Here in Java we call it as methods. And package names, constant names, and also program name or project name. These are all used for the uh, identifiers are used for representing all of these. Here it's classes, not classy. Sorry. Now project. And next, now what are the rules? Now what are the rules for identifiers. Now, for identifiers, for declaring an identifier or giving a name to some classes, variables, methods, or something else, there are certain rules. Those rules are varying with different types, like classes. For classes, this is only a naming convention given by Sun Microsystems, which is a main which is main which is the organization which gives Java in the beginning, and it is acquired by the Oracle Corporation. Now coming to rules, the first rule is identifiers should not start with digit. Should not start with digit. Why? Because compiler, we have compiler. If anything which starts with a digit, it takes as a number, integer or else some real number. So if you declare something like uh, if you give a name int 2EAR, something like this, equal to 10. Now according to compiler, this is a number, but here we have two invalid characters ER which doesn't represent number. For this we will get a compilation error. Coming to second one, it allows only two specific characters. It allows only two specific characters. What are there? They are underscore and dollar. We can use only two specific characters. They are underscore and dollar. And the foremost important point is it should not be a keyword or reserved word. It should not be a keyword or reserved word. Now the last one is it can be uppercase, can begin with uppercase or lowercase. It is up to the Sun Microsystems which gave name conventions to variables, classes, packages for easy reading of code. And now what are the rules for different variables? Sorry, what are the rules for classes, variables, identifiers for those things? Now first one, class. For class, name should start with capital letter. For classes, names should be starting with, or identifiers should be starting with capital letters. Coming to variables names should start with small letters. Okay, class name should start with capital letters, variable name should start with small letters. Also here, not only variables, we have also methods. Variables and methods names should start with small letters, and we have constants. Constants must be defined in all letters. Must be defined in capitals only. Capital letters only. You can also give different types, like for classes you can give small letters also for starting the name, but it uh, but for the reader of the for a code reader, or if someone is reading your code, then it will be difficulty for them to identify which one is a class and which one is a variable and which one is constant and which one is some package name or something else. Okay, now, so for that, Sun Microsystems gave these rules for packages. All the letters must be in small case only. Okay, now if I have more than one word in a class, like for example, if I have a decimal integer, for example, if I want to give a for example, if I want to here, if I want to give a name for classes like this decimal integer, then I should start with a capital letter decimal, and the second word should also be start with integer like this capital I, because in these two cases, like constants and variables and methods, the second word's first letter must start with capital letter, so that it will be easy for a reader to understand what is what. And the same thing which I want to represent in for variables, this is integer. Okay, now I said variables and methods have the same naming convention, but how can a reader differentiate between these two things? There's one small thing here. If I give a parenthesis here, it will be a method. If I didn't give this, it is a variable. So reader can easily identify these two things. Now constants, if I want to give a decimal integer as constant, then I have to give in all caps. And here, for separating these things, we can use those two specific keywords like underscore or dollar. And for packages also you can use this underscore and dollars, but which is not recommended. Here package name must be in small letters, decimal integers, like this. With if you want to access the sub packages, you can use dot, which is a member access operator. Okay, with this we came to the conclusion of identifiers.